Hey, welcome. I am so glad you're here to dive into this with me. Today, we are getting into a question that it's really at the heart of everything we talk about when it comes to creating our reality. Is it all about surrendering control, or is it about focusing our intention like a laser beam? It's this amazing paradox, right? And we are going to unpack it together right now.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. This is the big question. On one side, you've got this deep Zen wisdom telling you to surrender, to completely let go of this idea of a separate you. But then, on the other side, you have this really powerful teaching about deliberate creation, saying, no, you've got to focus your intention like a laser to shape your world. So, which one is it?
So here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll explore these two seemingly opposite paths. Then we'll see where they actually and kind of surprisingly meet. We'll even ground it all in a little bit of modern science, and then, most importantly, we'll talk about how you can actually bring this into your own life, your own cosmic dance.
Let's start with the one and only Alan Watts. I have always loved thinking of him as this philosophical jazz musician for the soul. He was so playful and improvisational, and he just had this incredible knack for making you question everything you thought you knew about yourself and about the universe.
You know, to really get Watts, you had to picture the world he was speaking into. Post-war America was all about conformity, right? But just under the surface, there was this deep, deep spiritual hunger. People were starting to ask, wait a minute, is this really all there is? And right into that space, that questioning, came Alan Watts' voice, offering a totally different way of seeing things.
You know, these ideas were, and honestly, they still are, so incredibly radical. I mean, Watts was basically saying that the you that you think you are, that little voice in your head, it's an illusion. He saw reality as this one big, interconnected, flowing process, and I just love this word he used, wiggly. The whole point for him wasn't to try and control life, but to just dance with it.
And this just perfectly sums it up. A quote like this just makes you stop and think, doesn't it? He used these kinds of mind-bending, playful paradoxes to show us that the ego, this idea of self, well, you can't pin it down. And why? Because it's not a thing. It's the process of living itself.
All right, now let's flip to the other side of this cosmic coin. So if Alan Watts is inviting us to just dance with the river, the philosophy of Abraham Hicks is all about putting us in the driver's seat, with our hands firmly on the wheel. So the whole idea here is that we are these incredibly powerful creators. We're extensions of what Abraham calls source energy, that universal consciousness that connects absolutely everything. And our job? It's to use our emotions, especially joy, as a kind of compass to align our vibration with what we desire. It's a really empowering message about focus and joyful expectation.
Okay, so we've got let go versus focus. It really seems like a total contradiction, right? But this is where things get really, really interesting. This is the turning point, where we find this unexpected and honestly beautiful common ground between these two spiritual giants. I mean, when you lay them out side by side like this, the differences just jump out at you. The ego's an illusion versus you are source energy. Trust the flow versus align with desire. A purposeless dance versus a purposeful creation. It just looks like there's no way these two can possibly coexist, but let's look a little deeper.
And there it is. This is the big aha moment. Think about it. What is Abraham's idea of allowing, if not a form of letting go? And what is all that energy we waste trying to defend our ego, just like Watts talked about, if not exactly what Abraham calls resistance? Both paths, they just use different doorways to lead you to the very same room, a state of flow, a state where that ego friction just melts.
And what's so cool is that modern science is actually starting to map this stuff out. We can literally see how these ancient spiritual ideas physically play out in our own brains. So let's ground all this in some really fascinating neuroscience for a minute.
So, scientists have found this thing they call the default mode network, or DMN. And what is it? It's basically the part of your brain that's running that constant inner monologue, the chatter about the past, worrying about the future, and endlessly telling the story of me. It's pretty much the neurological home of the ego.
And then you've got this incredible concept, neuroplasticity. This is the game-changing discovery that our brains are not set in stone, not at all. They are constantly changing, physically rewiring themselves based on what we think about, what we focus on, and what we practice.
So here's the kicker, the point that ties it all together. Practices like meditation, which are all about what Watts taught, letting go, have been shown to quiet down that default mode network. But what's really interesting is that the deep positive focus that Abraham teaches can do the exact same thing. Both paths, surrender and intention, can lead to the same neurological result, a quieter ego and a brain that is literally being rewired for a more unified, flowing experience of life.
Okay, this is all really fascinating theory, but the big question is always, how do we actually live this stuff, right? How do we integrate these ideas when we're trying to manifest something specific, but we're also trying to surrender? Let's get practical. Let's talk about your cosmic dance.
Let's go into what I like to call manifestation debug mode, because this is a feeling I know so many of us have had. It's that thought, okay, I'm trying to let go of the outcome, but I desperately want this thing to happen. Am I totally messing this up? And my answer to you is a huge, resounding no. You're not doing it wrong at all.
And this little reframe changes everything. That tension just dissolves when you realize you don't have to stop caring, you just have to change how you care. It's all about holding your desires with an open hand, not a clenched fist. You absolutely can care, just gently.
I just love this metaphor. This is that sweet spot, that beautiful place where spiritual surrender and vibrational allowing meet. It's about not strangling your desires with neediness. Let them be a gentle intention, a joyful preference. Let your desire be a whisper that trusts the universe to hear it, not a scream of desperation.
Let's just tap into this feeling for a moment, together. Just imagine you've arrived at this place. I call it the Cosmic Lounge. And the sign on the door says it all. No ego, no cover. You're always welcome. You can always get in, because you've always been a part of it all. And inside, you look into a mirror, and you just watch that illusion of your separate self dissolve. You remember deep down that you are not the individual thoughts or the fleeting feelings or the waves on the surface. You are the entire, vast, deep ocean from which all of those things arise.
And from this place of deep, profound connection, you realize that desire isn't some kind of demand you're making, it's just a dance. And you're left with this one beautiful question. What if this state of effortless floating is the most powerful form of creating there is?
So what's the big takeaway here? The most empowering message of all is that you don't have to choose. There is no single right way to do this. Your spiritual practice is a dance. Sometimes you're going to need to actively focus and paddle. Other times you're going to need to surrender and just float. And the deepest wisdom of all, it's recognizing that you were always being carried by the current.
If this exploration sparked something in you, I really want to invite you to dive even deeper with me. You can find our full conversation, which includes the complete Cosmic Lounge visualization, just by searching for Vibrations and Manifestations on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you love to listen. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me today.